Hi! In the previous lesson, we spoke about the dilemmas that come with the new technology of human enhancement. In this lesson, we will focus on the different opinions regarding the use of these technologies, the arguments, טיעונים, and the counter-arguments, טיעוני נגד. Let's explain some terms. נבהיר כמה מושגים. Usually, an argument deals with a controversial topic, נושא שנוי במחלוקת. In our text, the controversial topic is human enhancement technology, הטכנולוגיה לשדרוג אנשים. האם היא תוביל לדברים טובים? האם היא תשפר את היכולות שלנו? או שלא, ורק נשתעבד לביוטכנולוגיה, לתרופות, לניתוחים. זה מה שדנו בו בשיעור הקודם. An argument text presents different opinions for or against. In this lesson, we will see people or groups of people who have opinions on this issue. The people or groups of people who are in favor, בעד, are the advocates or proponents, תומכים. The people or groups of people who are against, נגד, are the critics, מבקרים, or opponents, מתנגדים. An argument is the justification, הצדקה, of an opinion for or against the issue, like explanations, facts, or evidence. So, this is what we will focus on in this lesson. Who the advocates are and who the opponents are, and what their arguments are. So, let's begin. Starting from paragraph 25, we see names of people or groups of people who have different opinions. I will go over them with you, and you can mark them on your text. So pay attention and mark the following names in your text. In paragraph 25, we see Hughes and Arthur Kaplan of the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. We don't have names in paragraph 26, but in paragraph 27, we have the President's Council on Bioethics. This is a group of people. It's a council, זו מועצה, שעוסקת בעניינים שנוגעים לביואתיקה. And in the same paragraph, we have bioethicist George Annis of Boston University. גם הוא וגם המועצה קשורים לביואתיקה. אולי יהיו להם דעות דומות. In paragraph 28, we see Hughes and Kaplan again. Notice it's the second time they appear in this text together. Maybe they have similar opinions. אולי יש להם דעות דומות. And in paragraph 29, we have a new name, Alfred Nordman, a historian of science at Darmstadt Technical University in Germany. And we see his name again towards the end of the paragraph. In paragraph 30, we see Schwartz. Remember him? Our business strategist and scenario planner. We saw him in our skimming. He plans to live to 150, remember? In paragraph 31, we see the President's Council on Bioethics again. Paragraphs 32 and 33, as we saw in our skimming, are paragraphs that deal with the writer's summary. אלו פסקאות שראינו שהן דנות בסיכום של המחבר. Here is where we saw the writer's opinion on this issue. So these are the people we are going to read about and see their opinions. We will skip paragraphs 25 and 26 and zoom in on paragraph 27. Let's look at the first sentence. These are tough questions. These, the questions that were asked earlier in the text. But they all boil down to the same thing. כל השאלות למעשה מתנקזות או מצטמצמות לדבר אחד. By enhancing ourselves, would we somehow throw away our humanity. על ידי השדרוג שלנו, האם באיזשהו אופן נזרוק את האנושיות שלנו? האם אנחנו מוותרים על האנושיות שלנו? זו שאלה מאוד רצינית, והמחבר אומר שרוב השאלות מתנקזות לנושא. So now in this text, we want to find out what the different people are thinking. Do they agree or not? So, here's our question. From the following names or groups of people, who thinks that by enhancing ourselves, we would be throwing away our humanity? President's Council on Bioethics, George Annis, Hughes, and Kaplan. Read paragraphs 27 and 28. Press pause and come back when you're done. You're back. Great. Let's see. We will start with the President's Council on Bioethics. Let's go to paragraph 27 and read what the President's Council says. Its technologically enhanced inhabitants live cheerfully without disappointment or regret, the Council's report points out. Sounds pretty good and positive so far. But here is a contrast word, maybe something negative. Lead flat, empty lives. Doesn't sound good. Devoid of love and longing. Filled only with trivial pursuits and shallow attachments. This actually is quite negative. So the President's Council on Bioethics agrees that by using these technologies, we would probably be throwing away our humanity. Let's move on to George Annis. Let's zoom in on what he says. Has proposed, hitzia, this is the verb of the sentence. Let's see what he proposed. A global treaty, אמנה בינלאומית, making human genetic modification. Here we have a noun phrase. We will start translating from the last word. Modification, שינוי. שינוי גנטי בבני אדם. A crime against humanity, פשע נגד האנושות. כלומר, הוא רוצה אמנה שתכריז על שינויים גנטיים בבני אדם כפשע נגד האנושות. It's very clear that he is against human enhancement. It seems that he also thinks that by using human enhancement technologies, we would be throwing away our humanity. Now, the President's Council and Annis both believe the same thing. They are against human enhancement. Their argument is that by using these technologies, we would be losing something. But we may see this also from the context. At the beginning of the paragraph, some of you may have noticed that right after the writer's question, he says, For many opponents of these technologies, למתנגדי הטכנולוגיות הללו, the answer is an emphatic yes. The whole paragraph deals with opponents, and this is the context in which we find the President's Council and Annis. In the same paragraph, right before the writer introduces George Annis, we read, Some opponents of enhancement argue that. So again, we are in the context of what the opponents are saying. And they are arguing that we would be throwing away our humanity. Let's see what Hughes and Kaplan think about this. They appear twice in the text in the same paragraph. We saw them together in paragraph 25 and now in paragraph 28. They probably have similar opinions. Another way to see the context of their opinions in this text is to look at how the paragraph begins. Some of you may have noticed the first sentence. Others turn the human nature question on its head. אחרים הופכים את השאלה על ראשה, אומרים את ההפך. This is a clear contrast. We expect something different. So the writer is preparing us for counter-argument, טיעון נגד, the opposing view. I'll explain what counter-argument is. Counter-argument, טיעון נגד. A counter-argument is an argument in opposition to another on the same issue. טיעון נגד זו טענה שמתייחסת לטענה הקודמת ומעלה טענות הפוכות, כמו בטקסט שלנו. בואו נראה. We will zoom in on use words. It's a long sentence and begins with a clause. To the extent that... So the sentence has two parts. The first, the clause, and the second is the main sentence. The first part says, to the extent that we are born with impulses for aggression, racism, and selfishness, etc. כלומר, כמו שאנחנו נולדים עם נטיות לאלימות, גזענות, אנוכיות וכו'. Now we go to the second part. We may be morally obliged to modify human nature. כך ייתכן שאנחנו מחויבים מוסרית לשנות או לתקן את הטבע האנושי. Not only does he not think that we would be throwing away our humanity with these technologies, but he thinks we need, or even should, from a moral perspective, use these technologies to change or improve human nature. This is a counter-argument. We see an argument that refers specifically to the issue of our humanity, and he says the opposite of the President's Council and Annas. Let's see what Kaplan says. Kaplan argues that all technologies are attempts to transcend human nature. כל הטכנולוגיות הן ניסיונות להתעלות על הטבע האנושי. That's what agriculture is. That's what plumbing is. That's what clothes are. That's what transportation systems are. Do they make us less human? Obviously, this is a rhetorical question. זו שאלה רטורית כמובן. אנחנו לא חושבים שבגדים עושים אותנו פחות בני אדם. זו טכנולוגיה. This is definitely a counter-argument. אנחנו רואים שהוא מעלה טענה שנוגדת את מה שראינו בפסקה הקודמת. So, Hughes and Kaplan's counter-argument is that by enhancing ourselves, not only would we not be throwing away our humanity, it is a technological progress like any other we use. זו התקדמות טכנולוגית. זה מה שבני אדם עושים. So, they don't think that we would be throwing away our humanity. So let's sum up. We saw that we had two sides. The President's Council on Bioethics and George Annas were against human enhancement. They are the opponents or critics of human enhancement technologies. Their argument against was that they thought it would throw away our humanity. On the other hand, Hughes and Kaplan are in favor of human enhancement. They are proponents or advocates of human enhancement technologies. Their arguments in favor are that it is just like any other technology and that we may be morally obliged to use it. We also saw other names which are marked in the next paragraphs. Let's have a look. In paragraph 29, we marked Alfred Nordman. In paragraph 30, we also marked Schwartz. In paragraph 31, we saw the President's Council on Bioethics again. They discuss another issue. Let's zoom in on the first sentence in paragraph 29. Not everyone believes we will have to face these questions imminently. לא כולם חושבים שהעתיד הזה עם הטכנולוגיות קרוב כל כך. This means we have another argument about whether this technology is imminent in the near future or not. So, here's our next question. Look at the following list. Nordman, Schwartz, the President's Council on Bioethics. From the list above, who thinks that we need to start dealing with the issue of human enhancement now? Press pause and come back when you're done. Okay, you're back. Great. Let's see. We will begin with Nordman. We see him in paragraph 29. We already saw that the paragraph begins with, "Not everyone believes we will have to face these questions imminently." So this is our context. Let's see what Nordman says. Alfred Nordman doesn't buy into the inevitability of explosive technological progress. הוא לא קונה את זה שזה בלתי נמנע. I don't have a sense that I'm living in an era of accelerating technological change, he says. I think my grandparents saw more technological changes than I will. So Nordman doesn't think it's imminent, קרוב, and doesn't think we need to start dealing with it now. Let's continue to Schwartz. Does he think we need to start dealing with it now? We saw his name in paragraph 30. Let's see how the paragraph begins. Nordman, however, is in a minority. This is our context. We can expect that the people in this paragraph will not agree with Nordman. Let's see what Schwartz says. According to Schwartz, it's almost inevitable. So he does think it's coming. He says that the problems are really difficult, but, and here we have the marker of contrast, it's inevitable, again inevitable, that we will make great scientific progress. This means that Schwartz does think it's coming and that we need to face it now. Let's continue to see what the President's Council on Bioethics says on this issue. We saw the council appears in paragraph 31. Let's see how the paragraph begins to give us the context. If you accept that, that refers to what was said in the previous paragraph, in paragraph 30. What Schwartz said, that it's imminent, it's coming soon. The big question facing us now is whether we want to go down the road towards an enhanced future. Now, we know that the Council is against human enhancement technology. We saw that in paragraph 27. The Council was with the opponents of these technologies. Let's go back to paragraph 31 and see what the Council says on our issue. The President's Council on Bioethics is clear that this is not a debate that can be delayed. So, it's clear the President's Council on Bioethics thinks we need to start dealing with it now. So, let's summarize what we did until now. What did we learn? We learned that there is an argument on the issue of human enhancement. We saw that some argue that human enhancement might throw away our humanity, and others argue that human enhancement is just another legitimate technology. Some argue that human enhancement will happen in the near future, and others say that human enhancement is not likely to happen soon. How did we learn this? By reading part of the section Liberation and Slavery, by marking the names of people and groups of people who are involved in argument, by noticing the opinions on the issue, and by reading their arguments and counter-arguments. We have finished reading this text. Next, we will summarize what we did in this unit.